The best place to start talking about money is with thanks for the money that we do have.
That's right.
Hopefully you're not losing any to the IRS this year. Hopefully you'll get a little something back. I know in the past I've gotten some back and I've had some taken. Money is an interesting thing. Today we're going to talk about money mastery. Money mastery. I don't know about your relationship with money, but I don't have a very good relationship with money. It always seems to leave me. I don't know what I do wrong. Growing up, we didn't really have a lot of it. You know, you hear people talking about that. Usually they're a little bit older. I'm like older than my generation when it comes to hard time stories. When I was 9 years old, during the 80s, people talk about the 80s and the great economics. I didn't get that. My parents were laid off. They worked at a textile mill, and we'd work in the summer. I was 9 years old, and I would walk behind this tobacco harvester and pick up the leaves that would fall and collect them. I didn't get any money for it, but I just had to be there with my parents. They didn't have any babysitting. And then in the fall, they would take the tobacco and they'd tie it in these sticks and they'd hang it in these barns to dry it out. And that's how you get the little dry tobacco-y products there. And I would have to go in the fall, and they had these houses, and they would bring all those sticks, and they had these little things in the wall that you would hang the sticks in. You just stick the stick in there, and then it would droop down a little bit and cut off the string, and then you pile the tobacco in these big round bales, and they would tie those up. And you got paid 5 cents a stick for every stick that you took off tobacco. That's really good, but that's how I would spend my Saturdays during the fall from 9 to about 12 years old. Sometimes we would go out when my parents were laid off. It would be on again, off again, and we'd be in ditches picking up cans so we could sell the aluminum for the cans. Some weekends, like during the spring and the summer, we would be cutting the lawn out at the local cemetery that was pretty big, or down at the local church, and my dad would get money for that. There was no allowance involved in that. That's just we needed extra money so we could make the ends meet. I don't know about you, but sometimes it seems like the ends keep getting further apart, and you just keep trying to stretch them and get them back together. But oftentimes we get into trouble with money because of the way our parents taught us to think about money or didn't teach us to think about money. And so as Christians, we need to have money mastery. There is not a class in school that teaches our kids how to handle their money. Home economics, they can take care of an egg, but how about a checkbook? There's not even checkbooks anymore. That was easy. What are you going to do with that now? How are you going to handle your budget? You can handle an egg, or you can bake a very nice cake. But the real thing about home is mastering money. Parents don't pass on things to their kids. Well, one thing I read that everyone should teach their kids is how to file their taxes. I thought, man, I need to take my son with me, my oldest son, and have him walk with me through the taxes. Next year he'll be a senior in high school. This is how I do it. Look forward to that hour of just intense pleasure and fun. After we finish the 3 hours of doing our taxes together. Money affects us. But money is a part of our lives. Money is a part of our lives. We got to deal with it. Money is just a tool, though. It's like a pencil or a pen. It's how you use it that's going to determine the outcome of your life. And as we'll see here in 1 Timothy chapter 6, how it determines your eternal life. The problem with money for most people is that there's a lot of emotion tied up in money. You've never seen the sad lottery winner. You've never seen the happy stock market loser. There's a lot of ups and downs in our lives that have to do with money. There's a story about two old friends who bumped into each other one day, and one of the men looked sad, and he was almost on the verge of tears. He was so sad. The other guy asked him, he said, "Hey buddy, why do you look like, somebody just shot your dog?" The sad guy said, "Let me tell you what happened." He said, 3 weeks ago, one of my uncles died, and he left me $50,000. The buddy was like, "What? I'm sorry your uncle died, but it doesn't sound like it was that bad. Like, he left you $50,000. That seems pretty good." He said, wait, I'm just getting started. He said, 2 weeks ago, a cousin I never knew kicked a bucket, and he left me $95,000, tax-free. The guy said, oh, all right, you never knew him. He said, I'm sorry about your cousin dying, and you never got to know him, but $95,000 tax-free, I'm still like, what's really going on? Wait. On top of all of that, last week, my grandfather passed away. And I inherited almost $1 million. The guy said, well, sorry about your grandfather, but after you inherited all of this money, why do you still look so sad? Asked a friend. He said, well, this week, nobody died. I didn't inherit a dime. Our attitudes about money can be such a challenge for us. We got to be careful with money. Jesus said in Luke chapter 12, Jesus said, watch out, be on your guard against all kinds of greed. A man's life doesn't consist in the abundance of his possessions. But if you flip on the TV, or you turn on a movie, or you listen to the radio, or you walk through the mall, or you visit with family, there's somebody telling you about the more that you need, or the better that you need, or the newer that you need. You know, the last version of the Apple, the iPhone, they brought out one version, and then like 2 weeks later, it was the next version already. And they were wondering, why did we lose money on this? They couldn't even, not even Apple could convince us we needed newer, better, and faster that quickly. Man, everything just looks so shiny when it's new, right? Think about the word shiny. I once read that that some villagers would catch monkeys using tinfoil. I don't know if you ever heard about this. They would catch monkeys using tinfoil. They would find a log with a hole in it big enough for like the average sized monkey to put his hand in it. But just small enough that if he was to close his hand, he wouldn't be able to get his hand out. And so they'd go find logs like this, and they would drop pieces or wads of tinfoil down in it that would be shiny when the sun shines on it. And so the monkeys would see it, and they would look down in it, and they would grab it. But when they go to pull their hands out, they would just be stuck. But they were so greedy just to have this new thing, this shiny thing, that they would just keep at it all day long. And then at the end of the day, the hunters would come around looking for the traps that they had set. They would see the monkeys, and the monkeys would not let go, even though people were there with clubs, and they would club them in the head to death.
That's intense.
Because they couldn't let go of that shiny little thing down there.
Wow.
In our society, we've got to be careful with money and houses and cars and careers, all the things that we think success looks like, because Satan used those as a trap.
That's right.
Makes it tighter and tighter for us to get out of it. Gives us more and more debt to things that look like success oftentimes. And he's just waiting at the end of the day to bash you in the head.
Right.
We must have money mastery. Turn with me to 1 Timothy chapter 6.
Come on, JC.
Verses 6 through 19. Is everybody still with me?
Oh, yeah. Let's go.
Your favorite lesson of the year, talking about money so far, right? Money makes people uncomfortable. I once did a men's midweek in Tampa. There were 100 or so men there, and I told all the brothers, you know, we would talk about purity and things you need to talk about, and I told all the brothers that I believe most men would rather let someone see their internet browser and find out about their impurity than about what they were doing with their money. That's where we are as a society. That is a taboo subject. What I do with my money is my business. I earned it. But you find in the scriptures that Jesus talks about money more than he talks about hell. It's incredibly important. Because money is such a slippery slope for us. We must have mastery over money. 1 Timothy chapter 6, starting in verse 6. Point number 1. We need to put money in its place. Put money in its place. Verse 6, it says, but godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into the world, and we could take nothing out of it. But if we have food and clothing, we will be content with that. Godliness and contentment together. You got to put money in its place. Godliness, to be like God, to look for God's presence, to want to be more and more like godly perfection, and contentment go in there together. contentment, appreciating what you have right now. That is so difficult. So difficult. Charlotte and I, before we moved here, we prayed about the kind of house we wanted, that it would have, you know, a gas stove and a fireplace and be within a walk from a park and have water in the back. And lo and behold, we moved here without even seeing it. Pete and Gloria had found it for us through the Holy Spirit, and we ended up moving over there in Janesville, near Janesville Beach. Perfect. But when I go to the gym, and I'm sitting there, and there's like 8 screens in front of me, like big screens, one of the things that is invariably on every morning at 8 o'clock in the morning is HGTV. And what are they doing on HGTV? They're either finding you a better house or making your current house better for you. Flip or flop. And while I'm watching HGTV, I'm thinking, man, if our house just had this, or if it just had that, or if it was just this, my house is everything that I prayed for. But if I watch enough HGTV, I will not be content. There's a whole TV channel hoping that you will not be content. Every advertisement that you see on television is someone hoping you will not be content. So you can not only fill my pockets, but pay for another advertisement that will also make you not feel content. Content is fleeting for all of us.
Yeah.
It's hard to think, man, life is as good as it should be. I have everything that I need right now. What more could I possibly desire?
Yeah.
And so Paul has to tell Timothy, who's followed Paul, who's been poor, who's been rich with Paul, who's been with him everywhere, who's an evangelist in the church, he has to tell him, hey, don't forget that we didn't bring anything into the world, and we ain't going to take anything out of it. You cannot hold on to it. You can't hold on to it. Denzel Washington said this. He said, you'll never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. You ever heard that? He said, I've been blessed to make hundreds of millions of dollars in my life. I can't take it with me, and neither can you. It's not about how much you have, but what you do with what you have. There's no U-Haul that's going to bring you a gold-plated statue of your spouse, even though you love him so much. No U-Haul can bring your newly landscaped yard with you to your graveside. When we die, we take exactly what we brought with us, and that's nothing. Nothing. And so Paul says, godliness and contentment are one of the things that you need to put money in its place. For money, mastery. Contentment with what, though? Look at verse 8. Paul said, hey, you got to be content with food and clothing. If we have food and clothing, we'll be content with that. He doesn't say choice morsels or you know, Yeezys on your feetsies. Just food and clothing. You don't have to have Levi's, you can have Rustlers, all right? You don't have to have KDs, you can have Zips. Whatever it is today that people wear. Hush puppies. Just food and clothing. Can you be content with that? Paul defines contentment. Contentment is food and clothing.
Right.
Food and clothing. One of my most popular sermons when I was in Tampa had to do with the Smiths eating rice and beans. We ate a lot of rice and beans when I was in graduate school in Tampa. And my wife was at home with 2 kids. How can you live like that? Well, how much do you like rice and beans? Don't you ever want meat? Yeah, chicken is, I can get $7.90. We could buy a 10-pound bag of chicken. And Shiloh will be there the next day, cutting it in quarters and putting it in the freezer. That's chicken for like a week for $7.90. And rice and beans, you can eat a lot of rice and beans for very little money. Can I be content with that? Well, I got to have something other than chicken. I used to have that thought quite often. It's hard to be content with just food and clothing. We want the finest clothing and the best food. Maybe that's just me. Well, Paul says, can you be content? You know what's missing there? My house. Paul didn't even give a second thought about you need a house, and you need a bigger house, and you need a nicer house. Paul said godliness with contentment is great gain. And what is contentment? If we just have food and clothing, we'll be content with that. See how this could be challenging?
Yeah.
See why he's telling this to Timothy? Because this can be challenging for his man Timothy here leading the church. We got to put money in its place. Man, not even a house. There's a guy named Abraham Maslow, and he did this hierarchy. There's a pyramid of what we actually need. He actually recognizes this. Housing is not on the bottom level. It's food and clothing. That's what you need. The basics. You got to go back and look at last week's study from Deep Conviction about self-discipline.
Yeah.
You got to change the way you think, and you watch commercials. Anytime I watch commercials with my kids, I try to get down to the basic question: do they want you to be happy, or do they just want your money? I think I've got them trained, because now they say they only want your money. You got to recognize that. You got to recognize that. The world does not want you to be content. And by the world, I mean Satan.
That's right.
Need is such a misunderstood word.
That's right.
Let me challenge you to do this. Every time you say the word need, I want you to challenge that statement. Is it about food or is it about clothing? If it's not, then do you need it? We understand wants now as needs. And that's why we're not content. Because we slide further and further away from need. More and more into what we want, and more into selfishness. I need a house with a 2-car garage. Go around to as many houses with 2-car garages, and you'll find a lot of 2 cars sitting outside of the garage, and there's a whole bunch of junk in the 2-car garage. I need something bigger so I can have more stuff that I also need. In Syracuse, I find that a very sad thing. Let me just say, if you have a garage and you don't have your vehicle in your garage, why not? Do you like getting that snow off there? Man. But one of the best pieces of advice Pete Armstrong gave me is, if you can find a house with a garage, you should do that. Man, me and Shiloh smile about that every time it snows really hard.
Thank you, Pete. Oh my God.
Ooh, thank you, Pete.
So glad I listened.
Do I need a car with a garage? Absolutely not. But we wanted one. What do we need? Food and clothing. Godliness with contentment is great gain. Do I need a cell phone? Absolutely not. I don't need it. Do I need the latest and greatest cell phone? Nope, definitely not. Do I need to upgrade every time I see an AT&T commercial about upgrading? Upgrade for free? That's a lie. Don't do it. It's not free.
Right. Come on.
You do not lease a cell phone. What's wrong with you? We get confused with wants and needs. This month's needs end up in next month's garbage.
It's true.
If you want to have money mastery, you need to have godliness and contentment. It's great gain. Food and clothing. I want to challenge you. Think about that the next time you say, I need something. Every time my kids or Shiloh say, I need something, honey, do we need that or do we want it? I guarantee you 85% to 95% of your needs are actually wants. Because they have nothing to do with food and they have nothing to do with clothing. Don't get me wrong. It's not bad for you to want things. That's not evil. But America is in a debt crisis because of our wants. Some of us may be in debt crises because of our wants.
Yeah.
Godliness with contentment is great gain. That's what we've been talking about as you've been studying these devotionals about money this week.
Yeah.
Because it comes with a warning. When you misunderstand need and you get over into want too much, is a warning in verses 9 and 10. It says people who want to get rich fall into temptation and a trap. And many foolish and harmful desires that plunge men into ruin and destruction. For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. Some people, eager for money, have wandered from the faith and pierced themselves with many griefs. The want for more and more is so dangerous. When it talks about money here, people want to get rich. It's not just about finances. Money here is the word mammon. It's material wealth. And so back then, in the first century, it might not have been just money, but more possessions and things you can trade, and you can make more of a lifestyle, or you can barter over here. There was also money, but it had to do with more than just money. It was wealth. It was stuff. When you want more and more stuff, be careful. It's a trap from Satan.
He is right behind you, honey.
It's a trap from Satan.
He is like,
In America, we have The QVC channel. I think there's like 3 QVC channels now. I don't even have cable. And I can turn over to 56.4, 5, and 6 on my antenna. And they're trying to sell me something I don't need. If you make the mistake and you stay awake too late at night and you're flipping through commercials, it's a whole bunch of stuff that you don't need. And they're telling you it's yours free for just shipping and handling. And when you buy it, you realize this is actually worth less than the shipping and handling that I paid.
Oh, wait, there's more.
That's right, there's more. And you need more because you deserve more. Don't you want more?
Right.
They got it. These things wouldn't be there if they didn't already have us.
That's right.
They already got us. Satan's already got us.
Yeah.
But God, through Paul here, gives the warning. Be careful of wanting more.
Yeah.
You know, this passage is actually often misquoted, and some Christians actually have taken this to say and use in their own minds that we hate money, right? So money is bad. Even the Bible says that money is the root of all evil. But that's not what the Bible says. It says the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. It doesn't even say the love of money is the root of all kinds of... So we want to say the love of money, if you love money, that's the root. No, that's just one. There's lots of roots of evil. But loving money is one of them.
Yeah.
Loving money is one of them. Loving material wealth. Specifically, love of money is one of them. Why? Because money is not in its place when it controls us this way. It often takes God's place. Not just money, but the things money can buy. I want a better job, so fill in the blank over there. I want a nicer house, so fill in the blank over there. We got to be careful not to love money or the things that money can get us. We got to put money in its place so God can be in His place. Those who are eager for money, it says, have wandered away from the faith. People who want to do better and better and get further and further ahead, and that's my driving desire. Me getting further ahead. Not being like my parents. I don't want to be in the ditch collecting cans, and I don't want my kids in the ditch collecting cans. Good-hearted. American. If we are eager for money, the danger is we wander away from our faith. Sylvester Stallone did an interview and he said, money doesn't bring peace of mind. Actually, it brings more problems. Everything is magnified 100,000 times, he said. Now, that's not to complain, but once you make a fortune, you'd think it would be all green lights and blue skies, but that's not true. As a matter of fact, it brings out some of the most vile characteristics than you can imagine. What's your relationship like with money? Do you have money mastery? If you don't, let me encourage you to put money in its place. If you think you do, let me ask you, do you really have money in its place? We have to put money in its place to have money mastery, and we have to put God in His place. Point number 2, put God in His place. Verse 11, you know, sometimes you'll read the Bible, you think, well, this seems out of place because in the previous verses, God's talking about money, and then in the following verses, God's talking about money here. But this is exactly where it's supposed to be. Paul says, but you, man of God. Right. So these other people are going looking for money, and this is a danger. And Paul says, but you, man of God, flee from all this and pursue righteousness, godliness, faith, love, endurance, and gentleness.
That's right.
Man of God, woman of God.
Amen.
Flee from the desire for more. Flee from the desire for more wants than you have needs. But the key there is you got to be of God. Christians are not of the world where stuff matters. Whoever's got the biggest toys wins. Christians are otherworldly. They're of God. They're not of this world. That is not easy in this world. Not easy. You know, I remember for Juan's first Christmas, my wife and I had both been in the military, and then we were serving on staff in the UK for a while, and we came back, and it was September 6th of 2001. A few days later, of course, September 11th. And then it was hard to get a job, and we were trying to serve the church, and we ended up living in this little one-bedroom apartment, and Juan's crib was in the one bedroom, and we slept on a futon on the other side. I would work during the day and go to school at night, and Juan's first Christmas came up there, and the ends were not where they needed to be. And Juan got one little toy, and I remember being so discouraged, like, man, this is all I can afford. I've done all this serving and working, and God, this is all I've got for my first son. One little toy. And Charlotte says, honey, we got all that we need. So awesome. But in my mind, I'm like, well, maybe we should, it's his first Christmas, maybe we should hold back a little bit from our offering this month. Because it's our only son here. It's our little baby boy. How are we going to celebrate him properly? That's the thought that I had. We can often want more and hold back from God with what seem like good reasons. New parents or older parents can get caught up in what their children need and put their children in the place of God. Little did I realize about 16 years later now that Juan would have been completely content with no toys. A Folgers plastic jar full of beans and a couple spoons, and he'd have been excited. And he never would have remembered his first Christmas. But we see these things around us, and we have these wants because the world is pulling on us, and we forget about food and clothing and one another. And we exchange our needs for wants because we don't have money in the right place, but we also don't have God in the right place. It is not easy to fight the current of the world around us. It's not easy. Paul says to Timothy, who's traveled with him, who's been through challenges with him and trials, and the elders have prayed over him about all of the gifts that he has from the Holy Spirit. Timothy here, the leader, the evangelist, must have been tempted by something going on around him to chase after these other things, because Paul says, but you, man of God, you flee from these things. Don't get caught up in this. Don't pursue money. Pursue righteousness. Pursue godliness. Pursue faith and love and endurance and gentleness. All the things that money cannot buy. Right. And you put God in the right place. You are of God. You're not of this world. Verse 12. He continues. Fight the good fight of faith.
Amen.
Don't get caught up in what you don't have or what your kids don't have or someone else doesn't have. Fight the good fight of faith. Take hold of the eternal life to which you were called when you made your good confession in the presence of many witnesses. In the sight of God, who gives life to everything, and of Christ Jesus, who, while testifying before Pontius Pilate, made the good confession. Let me stop right there. This is not about money, but just so you know, when people make their good confession that Jesus is Lord, this is one of the passages that we understand it from. And Paul, in the middle of talking about money, says, don't forget who you made Lord of your life. Jesus. The same good confession that you made, Jesus made in front of Pontius Pilate. He says, I charge you, keep this command. Which command is that? That's verses 11 and 12. You fight the good fight of faith. You hold on to your good confession. Amen. Keep this command without spot or blame until the appearing of our Lord Jesus Christ, which God will bring about in His own time. God, the blessed and only ruler, the King of kings and Lord of lords, who is alone immortal and who lives in unapproachable light, whom no one has seen or can see. To Him be honor and might and glory forever. Amen. Paul says, don't put your hope in material wealth, in things, in money. But put God in His place. Timothy, don't give up when it's hard and you want more and other people have things. They're telling you that you need things, or the world is pushing for more. Or brothers and sisters are saying you should do more. Right. You should have more. Timothy, you deserve it. He says you fight that. You fight that. You fight money and money's pull. You fight for righteousness and godliness and faith and love and endurance and gentleness. Your more, Timothy, is eternal life. Your more is Jesus. Jesus is Lord, not stuff or money. Your more is God, the blessed, the only ruler. Your more is in a place you can't possibly imagine. With God, the only immortal. You won't take money with you, but God's going to be there for eternity with you. Immortal. The only shiny. He's there, clothed in unapproachable light. Forget about the shininess of money. Right. Think about where you're going. And while you're going there, you need Him. To Him be honor and glory. If we want to have money mastery, we have to put God in His place.
Amen.
Got to be honest too. The world has its pull on the church.
Yeah. Yep.
It's it's like gravity, right? The world is kind of like the sun is to the earth, because the sun has so much mass. The earth is pulled towards it, and that's why we rotate around it the way that we do. The world has so much there's so many more people involved in worldly thinking and worldly desires, and that just pulls us because we're surrounded by them at work, at home, at family reunions, on Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram. The world is in your ear telling you what you deserve this, you need this. You got to be careful. In 2003, my wife and I were finishing up. I was finishing up school, but my wife and I were really finishing up school. There's a lot of rice and beans for many years in the Smith family. And we were getting ready. I was getting ready to finish my undergrad and go on there. And I was getting ready to go on staff on the church in Orlando, Florida. We had gone from leading a little mission sector, about 20 people. They asked me while still in school to go over to Orlando and lead a sector of 80 people while I was still going to school full time and serve there. And the thought there was that when I finished school in August, that we would go on staff in Orlando and go back, start over in the ministry there in Orlando, on staff there. But in 2003, some other things came about, and our church had to do some restructuring, and there was nobody on staff there. And so I would not have had a job there in August of 2003. But in about March, April of 2003, I was talking with a good friend of mine, an elder at the time in the church. And I was talking about going on staff and buying, where should I think about buying a house? I got the GI Bill, and I'm looking to have, full-time job again, and Shiloh's going to be on staff with me. And this brother, great-hearted brother who I love and respect immensely, said, if you're looking for a house, make sure that you buy more than you need, because you want an opportunity for your family to grow into it. And I thought, well, let me just wait, because I don't, let me wait till I graduate and think about this. This was the time of, internet, no interest, no one cares loans. You can get however much you want for whatever you want. Yep. And I'm so glad that we didn't do that, because I would have been fresh out of my undergrad with 2 kids, a house that was bigger than what I needed, and questionable JOB. Even in the church, there's a pull to think the way that the world thinks. We have to go back to the scriptures and say, what do I need? I guarantee you, the first place someone would have told me to cut my spending, it wouldn't have been cell phone because we didn't have one. It wouldn't have been a second car because we didn't have one. It couldn't have been food because it was low budget. They'd have said, well, hold back on your giving so you can make sure you pay your mortgage. Don't give to the church for a time so you can pay your mortgage. That would have been more worldly wisdom. We have to be so careful.
Yeah.
We have to be careful. We get into the things that we want, the people in the church tell us are good for us and are the best thing, and we can slide away from putting money in its place and putting God in His place. There's a danger there. Is God in His place with your finances? As you look at your finances, maybe the issue is contentment. Have you cut everything out that you could cut out possibly? I was having this discussion with someone the other day that, me and Shiloh, we have to sit and do a whole lot of planning because we only have one car. Because we don't want another car payment. Our car is paid for. More planning or more money? I like to tell people I usually have more time than money. So let me sit down and plan. What about cable? What about the internet? Some people think those are needs. Did you know you can go to any public library today and log on to the internet? Even if you're a family with kids, you could go to the library, let your kids get on the internet. Hey, you could bring one of those splitters and everyone get headphones and you could watch your favorite show on the internet at the library for free. When you don't have much money and you're just trying to pay for all the needs, you can get pretty creative. It's way easier for someone to say, why don't you just put that on your credit card? How many people do you know who are stressed out by their credit card debt? Because that's easy to... Whoosh. You don't even have to do that on the internet. You just log it in there and it's gone and just keeps going on your website there, on the internet bill. How much have you set aside for God? Is God first? Is God our greatest need? Or is all of our wants taken away from giving to God? Maybe you don't regularly give. Maybe you don't give at all. Maybe you're saying, well, I can pray for the brothers and sisters in Suriname, or I can pray for this, but I just don't have anything to give. Look, this is not the sermon to make you feel guilty about what you're giving. This is the sermon to ask you, though, do you have money in its place?
Right.
And do you have God in His place?
Right.
You can't keep up with the world and keep God in His place.
That's right.
You can't serve two masters.
Yeah.
You just can't. So one of the places that I can always tell where I'm serving the most is, where's my money going?
Yeah.
Just got to think about it. We got to put money in its place. And the best place to do that is to put God in His place. First in our thought. Jesus is Lord. First in our lives. And we have to fight for it. Look, it's not easy for me. Apparently, it wasn't even easy for Timothy.
That's right.
And he probably saw Jesus.
Yeah.
And heard from Jesus.
Yeah.
But the world just keeps sucking on us like a black hole and it wants to drag you down with it.
Yeah.
And Paul says, fight the good fight of the faith.
Mm.
And it has a whole lot to do with money.
Yeah.
A whole lot to do with money. If we want to have money mastery, we got to put money in its place and put God in His place.
Mm-hmm.
If we do that, we'll win the race. The last point here, point number 3, win the race. Verse 17. I think Paul tells him this because it kind of helps Timothy to really think about his own finances here.
Mm-hmm.
How am I doing in my relationship with money? How am I doing in my relationship with God? Is He first? Because when you're told to command somebody something, you better take a really good personal inventory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Unless you're so disconnected emotionally and so hypocritical that you can do whatever you want with your money, but expect other people to be disciplined with their money. So I think that's why Paul put it there. Hey, you better get right with the Lord and with your finances, the way you think about money. Because here's what I want you to do, Timothy. Verse 17. Command those who are rich in this present world not to be arrogant, nor to put up their hope in wealth, which is so uncertain, but to put their hope in God, who richly provides us with everything for our enjoyment. The big question here that everyone has when we get to it. What's God saying to me? I know that God wants people to do something with their money, but He's talking about them rich people. Who's rich? I'm barely scraping by. It is just, I've been rice and beans for about 3 years now. Who's rich? The answer to that, no matter who you are, who's rich, is whoever has a little bit more than you do.
Hmm.
The rich person is never you. It's always someone who has more than you. If you ask the millionaire who was rich, they would say, Jeff Bezos is rich. That guy is just, I'm just barely scraping by here with my $3 million. I can barely pay the serving staff or the insurance on my Bentley. But Jeff Bezos, that dude is rich. Have you heard about him? That's how it works. That's how rich works. It's never me. It's never you. It's always the person who has a little bit more. Am I rich? We can be so skewed in our perspective
That's
because
right.
of where we live, right?
That's right.
Your zip code determines whether you're rich or not. That's what we think. What if your continent determined whether you were rich or not? Or your nation determined whether you were rich or not? I don't know how much you make. Let me show you this here. There's a website called the Global Rich List. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. The Global Rich List. In 2008 and 2017, the poverty line for a single person was $12,140. So if you were working and you made $12,140 in America, you were on the poverty line. Right?
Right.
If you look at that person is, how do you even make it on $12,140? How can you get clothes and food? You type that in there and you go down. You can do this with your own income. And you go, show my results. Let's see who's rich. in the world, you're in the top 14% of the richest people in the world. If you made the American poverty line, it was just you, that makes you the 838 something millionth richest person on the earth. There's billions of people on the earth. You're in the top 14% if you made only 12,140. In 1 hour, you make $6.32 if you really made 12,000 something dollars.
Right.
Meanwhile, the average laborer in Indonesia makes 39 cents in the same amount of time. Indonesia. Go look up the population of Indonesia. You earn $12,140 in 1 year. It would take a laborer in Indonesia 16 years to earn what you made being poor in America. You're not rich, though. You're poor, right? In about 4 minutes, you earn enough to drink a nice, refreshing, this is not an advertising, cola.
Coke.
Not even Dr. Tops. We had that last night at our squad devotional. If you were in Zimbabwe, let's see how much it would take you. If you were in Zimbabwe, it would take you, how many minutes here? It would take you an hour
Wow.
to earn enough for a can of cola. But you're poor.
Come on, JC.
Your monthly income, if you are on the poverty line in America and you live all by yourself and you're trying to, man, it's so hard out here, your monthly income would pay the monthly salary of 74 doctors in Malawi. You think, well, I'm not making doctor money. If you were Malawian, you'd be making 74 doctor money. But you're poor. Do you feel a little bit richer now? What if it's not the person who makes a little bit more than you who's rich? What if it's you who are rich?
That's right.
Let me just change that. You are rich.
Yep. Yep.
You might not think you are, but you're rich.
Yep.
And so here's my command to all of you. Don't be arrogant. Don't tell me that I don't understand. Don't tell me that that's not true and that's not the way it is. And how can you know that? I know that. This is the command to you. Don't be arrogant. Don't put your hope in wealth. Don't say, I just need a little bit more. Because you're rich. But what you're holding on to is so uncertain. I command you to put your hope in God, who richly provides us with everything for our enjoyment. Put your hope in God, not wealth. Be content. Be godly. Look, even if all you have is food and clothing, and I tell you that you're rich, Paul says, man, God has given you everything. He richly provides us with everything for our enjoyment. Well, how can I enjoy anything because I don't have enough money? You're rich.
Yeah.
You can take a beautiful walk in Syracuse.
That's right.
Take a nice walk today. People in many countries would die to just walk down the streets you walk down.
That's right.
They'd love to. Enjoy some time with a brother or sister today. There's people who are all by themselves and lonely. Relationships and friendships don't cost you a dime. It's all for your enjoyment. You're rich.
Yep.
You don't feel it, but you're rich. Maybe you don't feel it because God's not in His place. Maybe you don't feel it because you're not content. Maybe you don't feel it because godliness is not the most important thing to you in your life. But statistically, you are rich.
That's right.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know why money's mastering you. But we got to get a handle on it. We have to master our money. Verse 18. Paul goes on. Command them to do good.
Right.
All of you rich people need to do good. Command them to be rich in good deeds. And to be generous and willing to share.
Yep.
I command you to be generous and willing to share.
Yep.
That's not that I don't have to. Paul doesn't say to Timothy, you don't have to do these things. But don't hold back what God wants people to be like in their lives. To be generous and willing to share. Why is that? In this way, if you have contentment and you're godly, if you put God first, if you're generous and willing to share, if you do good, if you become rich in good deeds, in this way, you lay up treasure for yourself as a firm foundation for the coming age. So that you may be able to take hold of life that is truly life. But what's the point there? If you want to win the race, you got to have in mind what is the most important thing that I could possibly do, and that's go to heaven. Where we get trapped, or we get sucked in, is thinking this is the only world and I have to enjoy it. That's worldly thinking.
Yeah.
This world and everything in it is going to pass away.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be dust. When you die, you can't take any of it with you.
Yeah.
Do you want to go to heaven? Then be good to people.
Amen.
Be generous with people.
Yeah.
Even if you go to SU and you go to Starbucks and you see a guy that's there and he's asking you for money, and you say, what's that guy going to do with my money? What's he going to do with it? Just be generous.
Right.
That guy doesn't have anybody to talk to but you. He doesn't have a hope in heaven.
Yeah, come on.
We're not called to be judgmental on people and where they are. We're called to be generous and willing to share.
Come on.
We're the ones who are called to have mastery over money,
Yeah.
not the world.
Right.
Not the world.
Yeah.
We show them Jesus when we live differently than they do.
Yeah.
When we have money in its place. When we have God in His place. When we're living our lives to win the race. When we have money mastery, we're such an incredible example to the world.
Yeah.
And all of us rich people
Yeah.
need to consider that in our lives. One of the scriptures we looked at this week, Ephesians 4:28, says, he who has been stealing must steal no longer. So if you're a Christian, you used to be stealing, but now you can't steal anymore. How am I going to make money? Oh, you must work doing something useful with your own hands, that you may have something to share with those in need. Man, that's kind of a double whammy. So you've been stealing. How are you going to make your way now? Well, you got to work with your hands. Get a job. But then what's the purpose of getting a job? So you can share with those in need.
Yeah.
You're able-bodied. You're a Christian. You need to get out there and work. And then you need to be generous.
Yeah.
Because you're rich. Look, if you're able-bodied in many cases, you're rich.
Yeah.
You may have lost some perspective here, but you're rich. Hey, you rich person. Give to God and share with others. Why is that? Because money has got to be in its place. Money is not good or evil. It is necessary for food and clothing, even in Paul's day, even in Timothy's day. But if you have God in His place, above money, above wealth, above material possession, you store up for yourself treasure as a firm foundation in the life to come. Heaven is real, and this life is faded. Currencies change. Standards of wealth in this world change. The world wants to master you into thinking that money is what you got to have, but you got to master it and say, no, I might have to use money, but I got to have my relationship with God. I got to have generosity towards other people. The life to come is the one that's eternal, not this one. It's passing away. Let me encourage you, get money mastery. Put money in its place. Put God in His place. And win this race. Let's pray.
Amen.
Father, thank you so much that we can learn right ways of thinking about money. Many of us were never taught how to think about money. Some of us are in two different places with finances considering our parents. Maybe they were great with money and held back from us, and so now we spend too much money because we felt deprived. And so our overreaction is not to hold money and be wise with it, but to overspend. Maybe our parents had no money and we had nothing, and we just want to have more now, and so we hold on to every penny that we got. Help us to be generous. God, there's something in these scriptures, these passages for all of us. I pray that you help each and every one of us rich people. Help us to have money mastery. Help us to not just say Jesus is Lord, but to show Jesus is Lord in our financial lives.
That's good.
Help us to win this race. We want eternity with you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
You are dismissed.
Thank you.